Okay, so let's get started. We have okay. We have to also go to the application and see how to open a defects. Okay, so today we'll be talking about to open a defects. We'll see how to open. It's just I know you have to get an idea like how to open a defects. Okay, it might be a minute feature. Doesn't have to be a some production issue. If it's a production issue, that's good. You have to open more of those things, but it's really not always possible to open such kind of issues, right? Um, but still, to survive in a project, to survive in a job, you have to open defects as soon, as long as possible. I mean, you need to keep on opening defects until the management understands that that nobody else can do this job. Okay, so that's how you have to do. So we'll talk about this. Okay, so let's complete this. Okay, so we'll go to here acceptance testing. Okay, so this acceptance testing is a generic word. So there is a more specific word called UAT. Okay, UAT testing. UAT, that means user acceptance testing. Okay, so here what happens is UAT is a different team altogether, not related to testers, not related to developers. There's a different team altogether. So the reason you have this because sometimes what happens, right? Customers sends requirements. I mean, customer doesn't directly send a requirement. Okay, but sometimes what happens is customer says, okay, this is a feature missing, this is what they wanted, this is how it should look like. Okay, customer don't have to be always a user, I mean, not a consumer. Customers can be either companies, there's other companies. Okay, one company, so you might be company to another company. Okay, so that's what it means by customer. Customer doesn't have to be some generic people, right? It can be also companies, okay, who are working for their company. Okay, so that's what it is. So sometimes customer itself sends some requirements, okay, that this is the feature they have to work on, this is the feature they have to include it. Okay, so all those things. So that's what they do in the acceptance testing. Okay, so this type of testing is to verify the system meets the customer specified requirements. Okay, what is acceptance testing? This testing is to to verify if the system meets the customer specified requirements. Okay, again, customer don't have to be always people, right? It doesn't have to be people. Okay, it can be companies too. Okay, because companies paying this company to run the software. Okay, and sometimes they also take the issues. Right, they also take the issue. They also submit the requirements. So in that case, you have to perform acceptance testing. Okay, so customer can also be a company. Okay, they are paying them to make the application good, or they are because they are using the application for their own company, not for the people, but for designing internal purposes. Okay, for that reason, they use acceptance system. Okay, so let's go to the next. Any questions? Okay, so let's go to next one, that is performance testing. Okay, let's talk about this performance testing. So this performance testing is actually divided into two types. This load testing and stress testing. Okay, so we'll go a little bit in detail here. Okay, so we want to understand why do we actually need performance testing. Okay, although it's not a QA job, okay, performance will be a different team. But as a tester, as a QA, you might also be, allowed to do this work as a performance. So let's say, okay, you have experience, you have this much of experience. Why don't you do this performance testing? Okay, in that case, you have to also perform performance testing. Okay, so let's see here. Let's take an example. Okay, so you know, let's say Amazon.com. Okay, let's go to Amazon.com. So now what happens? Just see if you see this, right? It's a pretty complicated website. There's a lot of things here. Okay, you can see this every every image here is integrated with a different URL. If you see this, okay, so this is on the same URLs, but here if you see here, these are the different images, and you see this bottom bottom side where the URL is completely different. Okay, so this is a pretty complicated website. Okay, and there's a lot of images integrated with the URLs. Okay, now let's say what happens, right? Is Amazon.com. Okay, now anyone in the world can access it, right? Unless there's a restriction from government. Okay, other than that, everyone can access Amazon.com. Any part of the world. Okay, don't have to be United States. You don't have to be Europe. Anywhere in the world. If you have internet, you can access, provided the government is allowing to access this URL. Okay, so that's good. So I mean, a lot of people are accessing. Okay, now what happens? Let's say Amazon, buys a server. Okay, it's on this hosted in server, right? Not in PC. Server is also kind of PC, but it's not a PC. It's a computer, but it's not a personal computer. Okay, so server. Let's say Amazon has bought a server, and you know what? They have now the server capacity is it's like only 50 users, right? Only 50 users it can handle. Now I'm just talking about just this URL, right? I'm just copying and pasting. You're not even clicking any buttons here, so forget about clicking any buttons. What I'm trying to say is there are millions of people who will be accessing this Amazon.com at that instance, right? Let's say if I'm taking some point of time, millions of people are accessing it. Okay, so let's say here, one server, Amazon has bought one server, and let's say 100 people are accessing at the same point of time. Like at that point of time, 100 people are accessing it. Okay, but the server capability is just only 50 users. Okay, so so my question is to you guys is like, do you know what happens? What happens when when 100 users are accessing that same Amazon.com website? Can anyone tell what happens actually? I'm just using this. We are not even worrying about clicking any buttons here. We are not worrying about anything. So one server, Amazon has bought one server, and that capability is 50 users. Okay, but 100 people are accessing that at the same point of time. At that instance, same point of time, 100 people are accessing it. Can you tell me like what exactly happens? Any idea?
It will give some error maybe.
Okay, error. Speed. Okay, speed will be less. Okay, good. Server will get down. Okay,
Yeah.
slows down. Application will be slow. Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, that's what it happens, right? Because server capability is 50, and people are, a lot of things may happen. Okay, yeah, somebody said right error. Yeah, that also can happen because if the server doesn't perform well. So what exactly happens is whenever you're accessing this URL, right? A lot of things are happening in the back end. What happens with the server is it consumes resources. What kind of resources? It consumes RAM. Okay, it consumes RAM. It consumes the processing speed. The processor tries to run faster. Okay, that in turn consumes a lot of memory, not just RAM, but also the hard drive what is included in the server, and a lot of and also consumes a lot of resources. Like is how much speed it is working. So a lot of things are happening, right? So if too many people log in, it cannot process. So if too many, let's say 1,000 people have logged in and the capability is 50, now that the server can blow up. It can also get crashed. So all this can happen. Okay. So what happens, right? So now let's say there are two servers, right? There are two servers, server 1 and server 2. Now Now let's say the people are logging in this, like let's say 100 people are logging into this, just accessing this URL, just accessing this URL. We're not going any further, just using this URL, 100 people. Now there's something called load balancer. Okay, load balancer can be a software or hardware. Okay, so what does is if 100 people are logging in it and there's capabilities only 50 users, this load balancer takes the remaining users and put the load into another server. Okay, so that's how you can balance the load. Okay, so this load, you understand now what's the load, right? It's a people who is always trying to access this URL, that is termed as load. Okay, it's the amount of people who are trying to access every time. Okay, that is considered as a load. Now that's what load balancer does. It balances the load between one server to many servers. Okay, if there are many servers, then it, so that's about, that's a little bit background on how this happens in the back end. So let's go here. Let's talk about this. Will be a little bit easy now. So now we will talk about this load testing. Okay. Now we know what is load. It's the people who are trying to access this. Okay, and access URL. Amazon. Here in this case we took an Amazon. It don't have to be Amazon. It can be Google. It can be Microsoft. It can be anything. Okay. So it's just an example. So what is load testing? Load testing is to identify the bottleneck of an application. Okay, it's called the load testing. To identify the bottleneck of an application. Let's see here what's written. So testing application under heavy loads, such as testing of website. So the one example is like too many people are accessing this URL. That's called load testing. Okay, too many people are just logging it, like say 100 people, 1,000 people. Now it's actually considered 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Okay, how now? What happens in the load testing is you get the graph. Okay, you have a lot of graphs that gets reported, like throughput graph, throughput, then operating systems, memory usage, how much RAM it is consuming, how much usage, and the peak time, how many people are logging into the peak time hours, and all those things. The graph is plotted in load testing. All these different kinds of plot, like throughput, memory usage, if it's Unix operating system, how the operating system is performing, all those things, all those graphs are plotted in the load testing. Okay, now there's one more thing called stress testing. Okay, in this, what happens in the stress testing, right? So we were just talking about this URL. Now it's no more URL. What people are trying to click this option here, to click this button. So what happens in this button, right? Let me give some background here. So whenever you click this button, it's not just Amazon, it's any website. Now let's say I'm going to departments here, and let's say I'm clicking this. So getting started. Okay, whenever I click this button, what happens is at the back end the SQL is generated. Okay, it can be any SQL, whatever the SQL they are using, Oracle or DB2 or Teradata or whatever, I don't care. But thing is, the SQL is generated at the back end, and that SQL gets executed at the database, and the data, whatever is there in the database, let's say they have this image there. Okay, the image in the database. So all this is stored in somewhere, right? It's stored in database. Okay, so that SQL gets executed. I mean, nobody is doing any manual work. It's automatic. Okay, whenever you're clicking it, that means that SQL is generating, and that SQL gets executed. And once it gets executed, it's shown up in the web page, and the URL gets changed. See this URL? It was before Amazon.com. Now this URL has been changed. Okay, that means it's navigating it to a different data place. Okay, this is a different data, which all this data are stored in that database. So all these things is stored in somewhere, right? It's a database. All this information. Okay, so that's how this works. Okay, now let's go back to here. So what happens in the stress testing is not just using this URL. You're clicking all those buttons, and let's say 1,000 people are using this button and using Amazon outright, very aggressively. That means they keep on clicking these buttons. Now the server keep on generating the SQL, keep on getting executed. A lot of things are happening. So all this is called stress testing. Okay, so you are not doing here manually. You are using a tool called LoadRunner. An example is LoadRunner. LoadRunner does this for you. So it generates virtual users. So we don't have 3,000 people, right? We cannot hire 3,000 people just to test a simple application, right? So that's the reason you use a tool that generates a virtual user. So you don't need any 3,000 people. Just the tool generates the amount of load, how much 3,000 people generate. So, okay, not just 3,000. It is depends on license. 1,000 one license, 2,000 two licenses, something like that. Okay. So that's how the stress testing works. Okay. Now system is test beyond its specification to check how when it fails. Performing a heavy load like putting large complex database queries. So that's what I told you, right? Database queries. I mean, nobody is going there and typing select star from here, right? Nobody is doing that. Here, everything is automated. Okay. Whenever you're clicking this button, or as a matter of fact, an image, that is generating a SQL. It generates SQL at the back end and executes at the database. So that's what it means by complex database queries. Okay, and continuous input to the system and database load. Okay, so that's the stress testing. That's what we do in using a tool. LoadRunner is a tool. Okay, from HP. HP is a LoadRunner. It was from Mercury actually. Mercury, the HP bought it, and they made their own tool. I guess there's now integrated into all one tool, but yeah, there has to be a separate tool for the LoadRunner, so they can do load testing and stress testing. And this performance testing is also called as non-functional testing because you're not testing the functionality here. What you're testing is performance of the application. I mean, yeah, to be better performance of the system. It doesn't have to be an application. It can be a system. It can be any other hardware or software. So we want to test performance of the system. Any questions? So yeah, that's what it is. So here it looks easy, like yeah, it's this is just a web page, but the back end process is pretty much complicated. Okay, because they have to use a lot of databases. Because if you're using front end application, of course there has to be a database. Without database, you cannot get this front end application. So if there is a back end process, then there is an ETL process. That's how these are interlinked with each other. Okay. There's nothing different. ETL is different, QA is different, or there's nothing like that. It's interlinked with each other. If you are having this web page or any web application, then obviously you'll be having database, and it might be a MySQL database or Teradata or Oracle, depends on the company how they want to use based on the data they are getting. Okay, and that database contains all this pictures, images, whatever you're seeing here is actually stored in the database. That's how you're getting here, right? There's no other way you'll be getting without the database. Okay, so all this are the stored in the database. Okay, so let's move. No questions. Let's move to the next one. So let's go to usability testing. Okay. So here it's user friendliness check. So what you're trying to test here is user friendliness testing. So let's take an example here. Let's go back to here on let's sign out. So let's say I am an Amazon customer. Okay, I'm an Amazon customer, right? And I want to do usability testing. Yeah, so people whose audio is who cannot hear properly, can you check respective HR manager? Okay, let me type. the thing is, so here's the thing, right? People who cannot hear properly, I'm actually, if you see the, email, uh, I'm giving two audios. One is good, better audio quality and the recording. So make sure if you're not getting proper audio, just, use this one. Okay. So that should be, no, that should be good. Okay. So here, see, if you have issues, right, that's what I'm saying, right? If you have issues, that's fine. It's not a problem with this my side or your side because some people can hear properly. Okay, it's not all of them. Few people can hear, few people cannot. Okay, so that's the reason I'm saying, right? Use the better audio quality. Okay, that's the reason I'm providing two. If you notice in email, for getting an email, I'm providing two, so you can use the better audio quality. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, because this is a long story actually. It's been some people can hear, some Texas people cannot hear, some New Jersey people can hear. Okay, so I mean, also check with Zoom, so they also had some issues. So that's all right. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like some people can hear, some people cannot. So it's not like my side or your side. It's like the internet quality in between the transferring the So that's what will happen. Okay, so yeah, again, people who was not paying attention. So you can refer the better audio quality which I'm sending. Okay, so that should be good. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So usability testing. So let's see here. Now, it's like user friendliness check. Okay, user friendliness. Let's say I'm the customer from Amazon.com. Okay, I'm a customer from Amazon.com and I'd like to buy something, right? And like for example, now I want to sign in. Okay, so I just go here and this is right in front of my face, right? Let's say the sign in button, let's say this sign in is somewhere here, somewhere in the footer of the page. How would I know that is somewhere, right? So that means it's not user friendly. Okay, as a customer, I want to sign in, so it should be right in front of my face, right? Or I want to check my cards, how many items I have in my cart. Okay, I want to see that. And if there's all these options are somewhere else, like let's say here somewhere, how would I know, right? First thing is I would not know that it's in the footer of the page. Second thing is not user friendly because these are the things what I'll be looking for, right? Whenever I want to buy something, I want to create an account or sign in. Okay, I want to. It has to be in front of my page so that I can sign in, right? So that's a user friendliness. Okay, so that's what it's usability testing. Okay, that's a user friendliness check in which application flow is tested and the new user can understand the application properly. Okay, if some new user, some random user, they don't have to get a hard time, right? They have to understand it easily. So that's the reason you have this usability testing. So here what they see is system navigation is checked. So all this should have be will be approved by the business. Once the business approves, then you have to do the usability testing. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So install and uninstall testing. So this is more of a client application. So if you have seen, like there are two applications, there's web application and client application. Client application is which is installed in the system. Okay, so this install and uninstall is more related to client applications. Okay. Now to test this, you have to see. So right? Whenever you install an application, you have to go through the process. Go to control panel and install or uninstall it. Okay. And a lot of things happen when you install it, right? Registry keys gets updated, DLL files, the new DLL files gets added, and new application gets started. So all this you have to test in install and uninstall this based on the requirements. Whatever the requirement says, you have to do it. Not like everything, just whatever it says in the requirements. Okay, so let's go to the next one pretty quick. So there is something called recovery testing. Okay, so let's say if there is any crash, how soon it recovers from the crash is called recovery, and to test that is called recovery testing. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Security testing. So here security testing is you want to test how how system protects against unauthorized and for example hackers. Let's take an example here. Okay, so let's say here, let's go to Google. So if you see this google.com, right? If you see this, this shows secure, right? It's secure. And the reason you have this secure, that means you have this HTTPS. Okay, this is a protocol, of course. So this HTTPS means it used to be HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, and S means secure. But it's not just putting by S, that's it becomes HTTPS. No, thing is it's different. Okay, so HTTPS is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. So now what happens is there's an algorithm that's an algorithm which is installed in the server that can only be decoded. So let's say you're browsing something. So it if you're browsing something, or somebody can steal the information what you're trying to do. Like let's say if you're buying something online. Now if you're buying online, it's HTTP, then it's completely you are 100% non-secure. That means anyone can take your information, your credit card information, your SSN address, and all those things. Okay, so obviously there's no way to have this HTTP when you're making credit card transaction online. It has to be HTTPS because what this HTTPS does is it's an algorithm that can only be decoded at the server point of view. Okay, and even if the hackers or any other person gets the information of your credit card or any information, it's completely useless for them because they cannot decode it. They cannot decode it. The algorithm will be different. Nobody knows how the algorithm is designed. Okay, so that's the reason they cannot decode it. So that's called security testing. Okay, so that's an example. It's not like only HTTPS. That's an example for how to do a security testing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. As I told you, right? The audio is less. Okay. Let's me. Okay. So people who are having issues can look into better audio quality. Okay. That I'm sending. So you can look into that one. So So let me check. Okay, give me a second.
The logo is half cut, I guess. The bug you're talking about, the Google, was is because of your theme. It's working fine on our regular.
Why don't you try with the already expired date?
Okay. So no questions. Can we close this class for today? So I'll be sending email. Okay. So just send the homework through email. So I'll be sending all the instructions. Okay. So you can follow the instructions. Okay. So if the people who send me an email. Okay. So here. Okay. So that's the thing I don't want you to ping me every. Okay. Now I'll just copy it. Okay, send me an email. Also, here is the thing, that's fine. Okay, I'll just save it. But you have to send an email because. Um, okay. Any more questions? Okay, just try with all the browsers. Also try with your phone. Android phone. Android phone will be different. Okay, and try with iPhone. Whatever mobile you have. Try with iPad. All things are different. Although they use HTML5 these days, all these should be compatible. But still, you might find a different issues in a different um, system, right? You're using Android, using iPhone, might using Mac, you might use Unix, okay? Might use so whenever although you're using this browser, you are still it's a different bugs. You might find a different bugs in a different application. So I would recommend also try for your phones, okay? Try using phone and Chrome browser and try using it. You might find a different bug altogether. So you have a lot of options. Okay, you have a lot of options to open defect. Okay, not just one or two. Okay, you have a lot of options. Try different browsers first thing. Okay, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera. You try that. And if you even run out of this option, you can try if you're having Windows, try with Windows, or if you can try with Mac, or if you're having the smartphones, try with iPhone, Android, whatever the phone you have, mobile, okay, you can do that. So you have pretty good options to take as many bugs as you can. But just don't copy the same thing what I've told in the class, okay? So from this class, I'm not going to approve all those defects. From 3-4 batches, people keep sending the same defects what I've told the class. I mean, I keep telling them don't send the same thing they keep sending me. Okay, so don't send the same defects what I have said. You have to be very innovative. Like somebody told, right, this this image is flash, so that's a good point. Although that may not be a bug, but that's a good point, good observation. So that's how you have to develop. Okay, so if no one has any questions, can we close this class for today? So you guys might have one more class, so that's the reason it's already 12. So no software. So somebody asked, right, which software? So here you don't have to open any software. I'll be giving you just an URL. This is the URL. You have to test on this manually. So this is called manual. You're not using any software here. Just using a web application and record the bugs. Okay, that's a very good question. Record the bugs. You know what? Just use screenshot. If you want to see, okay, let me give you an example here. Somebody requested, right, how to record a bug. So, although I'll be sending you email, so but just look at it here. Take a print screen. I just hit a print screen here. That what I'll do is I'll use Paint. I can use MS Word. Okay, MS Word also does the same job. So. Okay, and use this and put this and highlight this defect. What are you actually looking at? This is very important. If you say this is a bug, then you have to highlight this like this. And you can send it to MS Word. What I'll do is, this is a little bit labor work, but this is just an example somebody said, right, how to record the bug. So that's what I'm saying. But here you go, here just do this. And if I want something which is, let's say I want to select this, just select whatever is required, not everything. Okay, here you go. That's how you can record this, and you put some information saying that why it is a bug and how actually in what opinion do you think this is a bug. Okay, that's very important because this is what you'll be sending email to your leads. Okay, lead or developer or your boss, whoever. If you're not sending email, that means you're not doing work. It's simple. Okay, this is how you have to record this bug. Any more questions? Okay, no questions. Can we close this class for today? Okay, thank you guys.